There's this invisible code that's basically running your life. It controls your behavior, your finances, even your relationships. Pretty much everything. The crazy part? You didn't choose it. You can't even see it, but it dictates almost every single move you make. So in the next few minutes, we're going to expose exactly what it is, and more importantly, show you how you can finally rewrite it for good.
Have you ever really thought about this? We all know people who are just brilliant, right? Doctors, lawyers, folks with PhDs, they've got all the book smarts in the world, and yet, so many of them struggle with money, or they just make these completely baffling decisions in their personal lives. The results just don't line up with how smart they are. It really doesn't make any sense, or maybe it does?
Well, the answer is actually a secret that took one man 9 full years to figure out. And get this, he only started looking for the answer after it had already totally changed his life. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to know exactly what that secret is.
This is a true story, by the way. It's about a guy who had only 2 months of high school under his belt. No business experience, nothing. And yet, he went on to build a global company and started earning over $1 million a year. You want to know the secret? It wasn't about what he learned. It was all about what he had to unlearn.
Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the problem, what we're calling the intelligence trap. It's that huge, super frustrating gap between what we know we should be doing and what we actually end up doing. Sound familiar?
So, what is this hidden force really? This invisible script that's running the show in your life? Well, the source material we're looking at gives it a specific name. It's a word you've probably heard a million times, but I bet you've never thought about it in quite this way.
That word is paradigm. Now, it's not just one habit. Think of it more like a massive bundle of habits, all interconnected, and they're fixed deep inside your subconscious mind. It's basically the operating system for your life. It's the program that's running in the background, controlling almost all of your automatic, habitual behavior. Okay, but here's where things get really, really interesting, and honestly a little unsettling. Where does this program, this paradigm, even come from? Well, here's the kicker. You didn't write the original code. This programming, it happens in 2 main ways. First, there's your genetics, right? The DNA you get from your parents. But the second way, and this one is way more powerful, is your environment. When you're a little kid, your subconscious mind is just wide open. It's like a sponge. It soaks up every habit, every belief, every attitude from everything and everyone around you, with absolutely zero filter. Just stop and think about that for a second. Your core operating system, the program that's going to control your behavior for decades, it gets installed before you can even think logically, before you can reason, before you even have the ability to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't want that. It all just gets absorbed.
And this is what creates that fundamental conflict inside all of us. You've got your conscious mind. That's the part that goes to school, reads books, gathers all this great knowledge. That's the part of you that knows better. But then you have your subconscious mind. And what's it doing? It's just running that old program you never even chose. And here's the most important part. The subconscious is the one that actually controls your behavior.
Right, and this right here is the absolute key to this entire puzzle. Let me say it again. The part of your mind that gathers knowledge is not the part that controls your behavior. You can read every self-help book ever written, go to all the seminars, but if that subconscious program, that paradigm doesn't change, your behavior is not going to change, period.
But wait, it actually gets worse. This paradigm of yours, it doesn't just sit there quietly. Oh no, it actively defends itself. The second you try to step outside of its old programming, you run smack into this invisible psychological wall.
Yeah, they call this the terror barrier. You know that feeling? It's that sudden rush of anxiety, that wave of doubt, that pure, gut-wrenching fear you feel when you try to do something new, something that goes against your old program. And that feeling is so real, so intense, that what do most of us do? We instantly retreat. We run right back to what's safe.
And that right there is why we stay stuck. That terror barrier literally shoves you back into your comfort zone, even if your comfort zone is making you absolutely miserable. The paradigm is fighting tooth and nail to keep you right where it's familiar. It's like an invisible cage, and its only job is to protect that old, outdated programming.
So, if learning more stuff isn't the answer, and your willpower just gets totally crushed by this terror barrier, then what on earth do you do? Well, let's go back to that story from the beginning and finally reveal that secret it took 9 years to uncover. Remember our guy, the one with just 2 months of high school who started earning over $1 million a year?
He himself was so baffled by his own success that he spent the next 9 years of his life just trying to figure out what he had actually done. So what was the big secret?
He finally realized it wasn't about learning more, or working harder, or even being more disciplined in the way we usually think about it. Nope. It all came down to one single change.
He had changed his paradigm. That's it. That was the entire secret. Without even knowing it at the time, he had taken all the chaos from his old programming and completely rewritten it into a new orally system that worked for him. See, he didn't just change his actions, he changed the source code that was producing those actions in the first place.
And just listen to how he describes the result. He went from struggling to win to winning with ease. That's the whole difference right there. When you're constantly fighting against your own paradigm, everything feels like a struggle, an uphill battle. But when you finally get your paradigm aligned with your goals, success starts to feel almost effortless. Why? Because your automatic behaviors are finally working for you instead of against you.
So, the big question is, how do we actually do it? How do we change this life code of ours? Look, this isn't just some interesting idea to think about. Understanding this is truly the master key to unlocking real lasting change in pretty much any area of your life.
So here's the ultimate takeaway, the one thing you really need to get. If you want to change the fruits on your tree, your income, your health, your happiness, you can't just keep watering the leaves. It won't work. You have to change the roots. You have to stop focusing only on gaining more knowledge and start focusing on rewriting that subconscious code that's driving all of your behavior.
And that leaves us with one last thing for you to think about. Just take a second and think about one big goal you have right now. Got it? Okay. Now ask yourself, and be really honest here, what subconscious habits or beliefs, what parts of your paradigm might be silently sabotaging you from ever reaching it? I'd love to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below.